Thank you very much for participating to our Honda Motor Company's press meeting concerning motorsports activities. I will be the moderator for this press conference. My name is Umeda, Corporate PR Department from Corporate Communications Division. Good to see you. First of all, I'd like to introduce the attendees here. Mr. Takahiro Hachigo, Representative Director, President. Good to see you, everyone. This is Hachigo. Next is Head of Brand Communications Operations, Mr. Koji Watanabe. This is Watanabe. Good to see you. Thank you very much for coming or attending this web conference. This time we are doing this on a live broadcast. I hope for your understanding for the situation. So first of all, I'd like to ask Mr. Hachigo, Representative Director and President, to talk about our motorsports activities. Over to you, Mr. Hachigo. Good afternoon. This is Hachigo. Thank you very much for listening to a web conference, even though this came at a very short notice. Today, I'd like to report to you about Honda's future Formula One activities. Honda has decided to conclude its participation in the FIA Formula One World Championship as a power unit supplier at the end of the 2021 season. It was in 2015 that Honda resumed competition in the Formula One, the pinnacle of automobile racing series in the world, to win using our own energy management technologies. This is where our challenge started, and this year has been the 6th season that we are participating. Initially, Honda struggled with performance and reliability and continued an uphill battle. However, by demonstrating the collective strength of all Honda, including utilization of our aircraft engine technologies to improve performance, and also our mass production technologies to improve combustion efficiency of our engines, with those we were able to significantly increase our competitiveness. As for partners, the key in competing in Formula One, we have been privileged to work with amazing teams, Scuderia AlphaTauri since 2018 and Red Bull Racing since the 2019 season as well. Members of AlphaTauri, which was Scuderia Toro Rosso at the time, believed in Honda's potential and signed a contract with us. Since then, they have been fully supporting Honda, and with their commitment, we kept advancing ourselves together. AlphaTauri Honda claimed our first victory at the Italian Grand Prix last month, and it was the 50th race we competed together since we began our work together. It was a result of our unrelenting effort to date, and we had no words to describe the joy we experienced at Honda. With Red Bull Racing, our best partner for winning, we set a clear goal of winning the championship titles and established a strong partnership. As a result of this, we have been able to demonstrate our high competitiveness. Thanks to our solid partnerships with both teams and high level of competitiveness that we have earned, we have claimed 3 wins during the last season and 2 wins so far this season. On behalf of Honda, I would like to thank again both Red Bull Racing and Scuderia AlphaTauri for enabling us to fulfill our ambitions of winning Formula One races. Also, I would like to express our appreciation to the FIA, Formula One, and many people who were involved for all the support they have given to Honda since we decided to compete in the Formula One. And above anyone else, we are grateful to our fans for passionate cheering and support for Honda. Once again, thank you very much. Now, shifting focus to the business environment surrounding Honda, we see that the automobile industry is undergoing a once-in-100 years transformation. It has been a while since we started communicating Honda's intention to focus on the creation of new mobility products and new value for the future. Especially, we view our environmental initiatives as one of the top priorities of Honda as a mobility manufacturer. In 2011, Honda set the vision to realize the joy and freedom of mobility and a sustainable society where people can enjoy life, and since then, we have been making progress in initiatives to strive to eliminate our environmental footprint. At this time, Honda decided to further accelerate such initiatives and strive to realize sustainable realities. We are going to realize for carbon neutrality by 2050 in order to realize a sustainable society. To this end, our current goal of electrifying 2/3 of our global automobile unit sales in 2030 will become a checkpoint, an important checkpoint we must pass before we get to the 2050 goal, and therefore we must further accelerate the introduction of our carbon-free technologies.
To realize these goals, Honda is strengthening the research and development in the area of future power unit and energy technologies. In April of this year, we revamped our R&D structure to focus on the future technology, and we created a new center called Innovative Research Excellence Power Unit and Energy. While leveraging various power unit technologies Honda has amassed to date, including power units for FCVs, battery EVs, and turbojet engines for aircraft, this center has already started research and development of new power units which will support the future carbon-neutral society. Moreover, to realize carbon neutrality, we need not only a carbon-free power unit, but also carbon-free energy that Honda has already been researching, and we will make a major enhancement in this area as well. For realization of carbon neutrality in the future, Honda will make a major change in the course and concentrate our corporate resources on R&D of new power units and energy technologies. As a part of this, we decided to allocate our energy management and fuel technologies as well as our human resources amassed through F1 activities to R&D of advanced power units and energy technologies. Under such an enhanced R&D system, Honda will focus on the creation of advanced power unit and energy technologies and the realization of carbon neutrality in the future. In F1, Honda achieved a certain level of success by attaining our goal to claim victories. And now, we will funnel our strength into achieving innovations in the new field of creating carbon-free power units and energy and realizing carbon neutrality. This will be as tough as competing F1, and it will be a huge challenge Honda must take on together with the society. Today's announcement is also to express Honda's determination to take on a new challenge of realizing carbon neutrality. Together with the stakeholders, Honda will continue its all-out effort and strive for the realization of carbon neutrality. Ever since our founding, Honda has been advancing its technologies, developing its engineers, and nurturing its strong passion for victory through challenges we have taken in motorsports. Racing is in Honda's DNA, And therefore, Honda will continue to be passionate about taking on challenges and strive to become number one in all categories of racing in which we participate. We still have 7 more races this season, and we are introducing a new power unit with improved performance for the next season in order to fulfill expectations of our fans. We will work together with Red Bull Racing and Scuderia AlphaTauri to continue competing with our utmost efforts and strive for more victories all the way to the end. Thank you in advance for your continuous understanding and support for Honda's motorsports activities and also for the new challenges we will take. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now we would like to entertain some questions from the media people connected. And as was introduced beforehand, we will be accepting questions through Zoom system. If you have any question, please push the button to raise hand. And due to the time limitation, we would like to limit one question per person for this press conference. So if you have any question, please push the button to raise hand in your system.
はい。それでは最初のご質問です。
The first question comes from reporter Tsuboi from NHK. This is Tsuboi from NHK. Can you hear me okay? Yes, we can hear you fine. Good to see you, Mr. Hachigo. So you're going to withdraw from Formula One in 2021. The decision that comes at this timing, is that in consideration of the impact of the performance from COVID? Thank you for the question. Okay, then Hachigo will answer that question. Thank you. Well, this decision concluding our participation, since we extended it by 1 year, we have been thinking a lot of things over in our mind. And in August, we communicated our thoughts to Red Bull Racing, and we determined the conclude participation at the end of September, actually. And then actually, this is not really for consideration of short-term revenues and profits, but we want to go for the carbon neutrality for 2050. We want to have that target set up so that we have the midpoint of 2030, making the 2/3 of the automotive is into electric vehicle. We want to accelerate that to get to 2050 target. So it's rather a decision from resource of the management. We wanted to focus our engineering resources to that area. So it is not really from any profits consideration or the COVID, but this is more the engineer resources. Please take it that that's what it's mainly based on. Thank you.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much.
So next question. If you have any question, please raise your hand by pushing the button. Okay. Nihon Keizai newspaper, Mr. Hanada, your turn. Thank you very much. Please start. 2050 realization of carbon neutral is my question. In order to realize this, what will be the sales of gasoline vehicles ratio by then? So when you make a presentation, what were you thinking about the sales of gasoline vehicles by 2050? Mr. Hachigo, please. 2050 for the realization of carbon neutrality. So mobility power units, the low carbon and also electrification and energy, reusable energy to be used for the new power unit for mobility products, and also the energy saving and renewable energy usage so that we can obtain our target of carbon neutrality by 2050. Under these circumstances, 2030, the gas vehicle sales, hybrid will be the major ones by then. And then the market environment and also the opinions of the general public will be deciding the ratio. But anyway, after 2030 towards 2050, the gasoline vehicles and internal combustion system vehicles will be reduced.
Thank you. Moving on to the next question. Please press the raise your hand button, please. Okay, the next question comes from Mr. Owari, a freelance reporter. This is Owari. Good to see you. I hope you can hear me. Yes, we can. So in this announcement, you said conclude the participation in Formula One. In the second phase in 1992, you said pause. And then at the time of the third phase, you used the word withdraw. So this time you're using the term conclude your participation. I want to know the meaning of it. And then also you said the racing activities are Honda's DNA. So toward 2030 and 2050, once you have the path toward those targets, would there be a possibility of returning to Formula One in the future? Thank you for the question. Okay, then I'd like to ask Hachigo to answer these questions as well. Okay. So we want to aim for 2050, realize the carbon neutrality for 2050. So that's where we want to place our resources toward that. So I am not thinking of participating in the Formula One. However, as I said, Honda is DNA. Racing is Honda's DNA. So for other races that Honda is participating in, currently we will continue that with our passion that we typically have for those races. Thank you.
Next question. If you have any question, please push the button to raise hand. Next question. Asahi newspaper, Mr. Inagaki, your turn. Please start the question. Thank you very much. I am Inagaki from Asahi newspaper. Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. And you have participated in the F1 for 4 eras, and this is the 4th era. And what was the significance of participation of F1 in your mind? Thank you very much for your question. So, Hachigo, please answer to that question. The significance of the participation to F1. F1 is the pinnacle of the races in the world. Therefore, by participating in F1, energy management technology was enhanced by participation, and also the mass production technologies we can also use, and we can enhance both of them. For the human resources development, we have developed younger engineers who can contribute to the carbon neutrality future. And difficulties and hardships, and also not to give up was learned by those engineers from F1. Therefore, the development of the technologies and human resources development, we think we achieved the initial target. through F1. We have 7 races for this season, and also we have next season. Especially for the next season, we are going to introduce a new power unit, and we would like to get the victory through with the Red Bull Racing and Alpha Tauri till the end of the contract. Thank you.
質問に移り
Okay, moving on to the next question.
はい、次の
Okay, the next question comes from a freelance reporter Otani.
はい、質問をお願い
Okay,
します。
I hope you can hear my question.
CO2 削減に向けた動き
About the actions for reducing CO2. You said that's a big reason for concluding the Formula One. But this environment, the business environment, has not been changing over from since 10 years ago. But even though with that, you have decided to conclude a participation this time, why is that? Why is it now? Okay, thank you for the question. I'd like to ask Mr. Hachigo to answer this one too. Okay, right. Ever since over 10 years ago, of course, we have been doing initiatives to reduce CO2 and then to better the environment. However, the auto industry is going through a time of transformation that's really once in 100 years. So there is a lot of a high level of interest around the world for the environment. So the speed to get to CO2 reduction is getting more and more important. So with the COVID pandemic as well, we need to our ideas, our thoughts for the nature, the environment has really changed, and we definitely would have to accelerate the carbon neutrality path. So we want to utilize our energy management technology and fuel technologies that we have built over the years with the Formula One and the resources of engineers. We want to direct all of those, what we have, to the environmental efforts. So that is why we have reached this conclusion now. Thank you. Thank you.
ご質問な
If you have any questions, please push the button to raise a hand.
はい、では続きまして
Next question.
移らさせていただきます。東洋経済
Toyo Keizai,
お願いいたします。
Mr. Kishimoto, please start your question. Thank you very much. I am Kishimoto from Toyo Keizai. Can you hear me? Yes, we can. Thank you. In North America, the GM engine to be shared so that you will be reducing the cost of development. And now you conclude F1 participation, and this has been contributing to the development of engine for mass-produced vehicles. So for engine development, are you going to reduce the efforts and so that the development resources are poured into the electrified power unit? Is that your plan? Thank you very much for your question. Hachigo is going to respond to this question as well. Towards 2030, the 2/3 of automotive sales will be electrified. That is the target. And 2050, we will realize the carbon neutrality. That is the target. And power unit development resources. From April this year, we have the new center called Innovative Research Excellence Power Unit and Energy. Therefore, we will funnel the resources into the center. So from 2030 onwards, the electrified power unit is going to be enhanced. And therefore, we will be reducing the efforts to develop engines, and the efforts will be shifted to the development of power units. Thank you very much.
ご質問のある方は
Thank you very much for the other questions. If anyone else has a question, please press the raise your hand button.
はい、では
Okay, then the next question comes from a Yomiuri newspaper, reporter Shimosato. This is Shimosato from Yomiuri newspaper.
今回
So you are concluding the Formula One participation in the Formula One. Why Formula One? So I'd like to hear your explanation about why you are concluding Formula One. I mean, so is there going to be, I'd like to know your thoughts about your involvement, future involvement for other motorsports other than Formula One. Okay, thank you. I'd like to direct the question to Mr. Hachigo once again. Okay. Well, Honda is aiming for the 2030 to bring the electrifying all the automobile, two-thirds of the automobile sales, but to electrify them and also achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. But for the Formula One activities have been focusing on energy research, and then those are a bit different from other races. In particular, for those engineers who got involved in Formula One activities, they have learned the technologies that are needed for the what we aiming to do. For other races, actually, going forward, racing is the DNA of Honda, so we would like to continue to participate in other races. Okay, thank you.
続いてのご質問です。
Next question. Freelance, Mr. Momota. Freelance journalist. Can you hear me? Yes. F1 is Honda and Honda is F1. However, you are not returning to F1. And this is a major transformation of Honda brand. As for the brand strategy, it may be difficult to differentiate from other motor companies. What do you think? Mr. Hachigo will respond to this question as well. We have many opinions raised. However, towards 2030, we will electrify two-thirds of the global automobile unit sales by 2030, and also realization of carbon neutrality by 2050. Those are the major targets, and also the environmental the issue is also Honda's DNA, and our value is the advanced power units and also energy technologies. Those are the Honda brand values. Therefore, the advanced power unit through innovative research, excellent power unit and energy, we would like to create products which are differentiated from other companies. Thank you.
続いての
Okay, I'd like to move on to the next question. From we have a Nomoto reporter, Nomoto from Daily Automotive News. This is Nomoto from Daily Automotive News. Yes, we can hear you. So if you hear Formula One by Honda, you said that you've developed a good engineers, but see, I believe there are some people who want to join Honda because you are doing Formula One. So let us know your thoughts about the impact. And then for those engineers who are currently working in the area of Formula One, how are you going to address that change? The change. Okay, Mr. Hachigo, please. Well, for the engineers who are working on the Formula One right now, I will make sure that all the technology that they've fostered, that they cultivated in themselves during Formula One, I would like to talk to them so that their capabilities can be directed toward the 2050 carbon neutrality. The thing is, this will be a difficult challenge, just as difficult as the Formula One. So taking on this challenge, I would say it should be a good task for those engineers as well. So this is the direction that we want to encourage them and then manage those engineers. And then by doing this, I hope that people would want to join Honda as engineers. So we want to come up with good products and good technology so that they will feel encouraged to join Honda. Thank you.
Next question. Impress, Mr. Tanigawa, your turn. My name is Tanigawa from Impress. Can you hear me? Yes, we can. And I have a question to Mr. Hachigo. And now you are winning F1 and you are in a good situation. And Mr. Hachigo, have you had any things that you felt failed, and what was the best thing you had during the F1 participation? We still have 7 races and next season as well. Therefore, we would like to make utmost efforts, and we will have something which might be regrettable and something which will be joyful. In the past, this is a personal experience, and last race, Abu Dhabi Grand Prix in 2018, we had engine blow, and at that time, Rosso was our team member, and we had a very good condition. However, at the last race, we had the engine blow, and next season, and we have already decided to provide the engine to Red Bull Racing. So that 1 year, we were regretted very much. But most joyful experience is that the Toro Rosso, the then and currently Alpha Tauri, we worked together and we won, and we claimed the victories on the 50th racing together.
Thank you. If you have any question, please press the raise your hand button. Okay, the next question, I'm going to move on to the next question from a Reuters reporter, Shiraki from Reuters. This is Shiraki from Reuters. Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. So Honda, as of 2008, once withdrew from Formula One. And at that time, Mr. Hachigo, you were not the president. But at that time, I believe the real economy was in distress with the financial crisis. So the environment was different. But you thought about redistributing the management resources. So because of that, the company Honda decided to withdraw from Formula One. That's how I remember it. So comparing that time and this time, we say withdrawing this time again, so not rejoining. So I believe this is a big difference. So the withdrawal at 2008 and then the conclusion this time, what is the difference, the weight of leaving Formula One? How is it different? If you have any thoughts, please let me know. Okay, thank you for the question. Over to you, Mr. Hachigo. This time, for concluding the participation, as I've mentioned a little bit earlier, this is not in consideration of short-term profits, but it is coming from our aim to achieve carbon neutrality toward 2050. If we think about the environmental initiatives needed going forward, the resource of engineers, we need to. I have been thinking about where we should place the engineering resources. So we need to reinforce the power unit area. So that is why I made a big decision. So we need to make sure that this change in reallocation needs to lead to good fruits. And that's the management's mission. And also, the whole society is very sensitive about the environmental efforts, and there is a lot of attention to that. So to fulfill this, that is why I made this decision. Thank you.
Next question. Nakanishi Automotive Research. Mr. Nakanishi, your turn. Thank you. I am Nakanishi. Can you hear me? Yes, we can. I have a question. The carbon neutrality, that is the target to make this decision. And from the market principle, I think this is the right decision. because current situation is very hard in the world. So the direction of the decision is right, I think. But in order to achieve a carbon neutrality, you are going to reallocate resources. But in concrete, what would be your focus of attention? And if we do not understand, it is difficult to understand your decision. What do you think about EMAS and also infrastructure? This is not only a power unit of automotive, but what is the timing and what would be the message you are going to issue? And I'm sure that you have very strong intention of making this decision. So I would like to know the background of the making this decision. Mr. Hachigo, please. So realization of carbon neutrality by 2050, this was our declaration. And the method of achieving this, we have not yet fully discussed, and we have not only focused on those which we completed research and development, but we have a lot of power units and mobilities, and also we have energy technologies to connect them together. This will be the strength of Honda towards the realization of carbon neutrality. And also 2030, the electrifying 2/3 of our global automobile unit sales in 2030 is the interim goal. And zero emission vehicles has to be strengthened towards that goal. EMAS, this is grid connection, usage of electricity and connection of mobilities, and that is the concept of EMAS. And at the early stage, we would like to introduce EMAS to you, and especially the concrete plans will be disclosed by then. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to move on to the next question from motorsports.com, reporter Tanaka. Okay, this is Tanaka from motorsports.com. Can you hear me? Yes? Yes, we can hear you. Yes, can you hear me? This is Tanaka from Motorsports. We can hear you, yes? Can you hear me at all? I cannot hear you anymore. Mr. Tanaka, can you check your speaker? Turn on your speaker or turn up the volume for your speaker. Yes, we can hear you. Okay, let me ask my question. So this time you are announcing that you're concluding your participation, but now that you've been finally be able to win, now I thought that you were about to aim for winning and championship. So now at this timing, you are concluding participation. I'm sure that all the fans are disappointed. So how are you going to explain this to your fans? And also to the fans, because they have high expectations for the Honda that's going to go for the #1 in the world. I guess that's what the expectations. But do you have any plans to participate in the electric vehicle races? Okay, thank you. I'd like to ask Hachigo to answer this one as well. Okay, first of all, to the fans, I hope, I thank you for the support. And then I hope that you will continue to support us. We still have 7 races to go this season, and next year we have another season, and then we'll do our very, very best to try to win. For next win, we will launch our new power unit so that together with the Red Bull, we are going to aim for the season champion. So far, the initial 3 years, we have struggled very much, but we overcame that, and so far we have been able to claim 5 victories. So to some extent, I think we left a good track record with our wins. So toward next year, we will continue to do our best. So we hope that the fans will continue to stay by us and support us. And then also for other electric vehicle races, we don't have any specific plans for participating as of now. And this time, so we are aiming for carbon neutrality in 2050. Now, this would be a big challenge for Honda. So I hope that our fans will support us for that challenge, us taking on that challenge as well. Thank you. Thank you.
And we have selected the respondents based on those who pushed the button to raise hand. And next, we would like to move on to the next question. NHK Sunday Sports, Mr. Toyohara, your turn. Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. So, targeting carbon neutrality on the pathway, we have electrification, and also the synthetic fuel is another method. So, hearing from F1, in the future, the ratio of using the synthetic fuels are going to be increased so that the carbon neutral pathway to be fulfilled. So as for Honda, are you going to use the synthetic fuel pathway to achieve realization of carbon neutrality, or you are not using this pathway? Thank you very much for your question. The Hachigo-san is going to respond to your question. For the realization of carbon neutrality, the synthetic fuels, we are doing research and development so far. We are not saying this is not necessary, but synthetic fuel technology is a necessary technology as well. However, we have a high hurdle for these technologies, and we have to overcome those hurdles. And therefore, to target carbon neutrality, we think we have not ruled out the possibility of synthetic fuels. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the next question. Okay, from Kyodo, we have a reporter Tetsuya from Kyodo Tsushin. This is Tetsuya, reporter Tetsuya from Kyodo Tsushin. Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear. We can hear you. Okay. So Honda has been through the taking on the challenge of Formula One Championship, which is a pinnacle in automotive racing. You have been contributing to building enthusiasm for the races. Now, a Japanese company leaving the pinnacle of races from the top category, how do you view the impact of that, your departure from the top category, participating from a top category of races? Okay, thank you for the question. Over to you, Mr. Hachigo. Well, motorsports, that's something we still need to continue to build everyone's enthusiasm. Now that we've decided to conclude our participation in Formula One, but in other motorsports fields, we would like to promote in other motorsports. So we hope that in those other stages, we hope to be able to boost the enthusiasm across Japan for the different kinds of motorsports as well in those other venues. Okay, thank you.
記者の
If you have any questions, please push the button to raise a hand. So let's move on to the next question. Freelance journalist, Mr. Yone, your turn. My name is Yone. Thank you very much. So the conclusion of F1 participation towards making this decision, what were the decision process you had? And within the Honda itself, I'm sure that there are different opinions, but especially Mr. Hachigo, you have been promoting F1 activities, and Toro Rosso have saved you in terms of the F1 racing. So thinking about Toro Rosso, Mr. Hachigo, personally, what do you think about the conclusion of the participation to F1? Thank you very much for your question. Mr. Hachigo, please. Well, about the participation of F1 2015, when I took the office of presidency, we resumed the participation of F1. We had a difficult time at that time, and I had difficulty myself. And Toro Rosso, currently called Alpha Tauri, we had a fresh start together with them, and this was very good. And especially Mr. Tost, a team leader, I still appreciate for him. And together with him, on the 50th racing, we were able to win together with Alpha Tauri. That was a joyful moment. And however, for business direction, we have to target a realization of carbon neutrality by 2050. This is another important challenge, and especially engineers and engineering resources have to funnel into the realization of this target. And within the company, there were some opinions that we should continue the participation of F1. But as the president, I made the decision. Thank you.
本日は多くのご質問
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the numerous questions that you are posing to us. Because of the time, because of the limited time, the next question will be the last question that we can take here. Okay, from a top news reporter Imamura from Top News. This is Imamura from Top News. Can you hear me? Yes. Over to you, Mr. Imamura. Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. Okay. Over to you. Okay, thank you. Sorry for that. The other day, the Ferrari reached the 1000 championship. So I thought that maybe, I wonder how much you've given to consideration internally to continuing in the races and enhancing your brand, capabilities. Okay, continuing participation in Formula One and enhancing our brand capabilities. That was one choice, and the other one is to lean toward and then pour resources into carbon neutrality for 2050. That was something that was thoroughly discussed internally among our management. And with that, through the thorough discussions, we reached this conclusion. So this Formula One is one challenge, but winning, we have been able to win. That was one of the targets. And then we do have remaining 7 races, and then next year's season remaining. So we want to give some good results as well. But at the same time, we feel that taking on the environmental consideration, taking on that path is another challenge to which everyone now agreed at the top management level unanimously to go this path. Thank you. Okay, thank you. With this, we'd like to close the Q&A session. Apologies to those who wanted to ask questions, but we were unable to answer because of the limited time. So please contact the corporate communications so that we can address those questions as well. So with this, we'd like to close the our motorsports activities press meeting. The press release today and then the material for Mr. Hachigo's speech, this is listed on the website, so please refer to that for your reference. Thank you very much for viewing this program. Thank you very much.